rabbis of yesteryear. Now today we're going to concentrate on a famous rabbi, a rabbi that will be related actually to the chief rabbi from the United Kingdom, Rabbi David Meldola Z'tl. He was born in English in 1714, and there's varying opinions when he passed away. According to one opinion, it was as late as the year 1818. According to another opinion on the Hayami website, it was in the year 1810, but seemingly he lived close to 100 years or just above 100 years, respectively. He would go on to become a rabbi in Livorno, in Italy, also in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. He'll be a Rosh Yeshiva, head of Yeshiva Talmudic institutions, and the author of great Halacha, Jewish law books, and he'll be part of a printing press, let's just say, and very much would have a lot be doing central within regards to various different important matters, let's just say, in of itself. Now, there's much that we can be said about it. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the famous rabbi's life. Now, Rabbi David was born to another famous rabbi, Rabbi Raphael Mildula. Now, he was one of the head rabbis of communities in Livorno, Pisa, Bayonne, various different places. I think his father's name was Shmuel Yaakov, but he would change it because of an illness that will strike him. Now, I think his brother himself, Rabbi David's brother or very close relative, happened to be the chief rabbi of the United Kingdom, the chief Spanish rabbi, and we've spoken about him before, Rabbi Raphael Meldola, respectively. Now, it's actually interesting. Rabbi David will have a very interesting life. He will move, I believe, he was born in Livorno, and during his lifetime he'll move to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam, and he'll become the Rosh Yeshiva over there. Very interesting enough, and much more can be related within regards to that. I think it would be a yeshiva called, if I'm not mistaken, Yeshiva Not Zekenim, respectively, over there. And it will be, so he would be the founder of various different institutions there. Reshit Chochma, for example, Temimei Derech. And very much so. Okay, let's explore a bit more within regards to him. I think on the 10th of Adar in the year 1739, he would be about 20 years of age, he'd get married to his wife, Rabbinit Rachel. She was the daughter of a very wealthy rabbi, Rabbi Eliashib, I believe, Netanel Tzarfati, rabbi I think we've spoken about in this series before, if I'm not mistaken, who happened to be very prominent rabbi over there. Now, it's interesting, he would work in various different, especially in let's say the publishing field, he was a proofreader, he was an editor of various different books, he arranged various books inside print houses in Amsterdam. Now, he would write various different Torah works, including Mesilat Yesharim, very interesting enough. Then I think there'll be more books he would actually print, including let's just say the Temple of the Melechs. Let's say, I think we would call this Mikdash Melech, the Rabbi Shalom Bu Z'tl. Rabbi Shalom Bu Z'tl is a rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. He was author of Mikdash Melech, so he would write within regards to that. He himself, Rabbi Bu Z'tl, was a Dayan and head Jewish court of the Sephardi community in London. And another book of his, I believe, was connected very much to Rabbi Yaakov Sospartos, if I'm not mistaken. It was the Tzitzit Noval Tzvi, if I'm not mistaken. So he would write various commentaries, or he would be involved, let's just say, in the proofreading of all these Torah important works. I've mentioned about 3 works over there. One of them is Yesharim, one which was the Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, one of Rav Shalom Bu Z'tl, and one of Rabbi Yaakov Sospartos, another head chief rabbi, Spanish Portuguese Jewish community. He corresponded with many of the rabbis of his generation. He did, the great rabbi did. And among the rabbis was, of his generation, was Maharatz Chayot, who was a head of Jewish court, I believe in Kalish, very much connected to, and wrote a commentary, I think, or Hagaot on the Talmud, respectively. I think was famous Ashkenazic rabbi. The Yavetz, Rabbi Yaakov Emden, the famous rabbi we've spoken about before, and the author of the Pnei Yehoshua, which was a book on various different teachings of the Talmud, respectively. And I think that was connected to Rabbi Yaakov Yehoshua Pollock, if I'm not mistaken. Another rabbi he was in close connection was Rabbi Shmuel Laniado, and Rabbi Raphael Shlomo Laniado, another famous rabbi we've spoken about before, who happened to be a Dayan and rabbi of the city of Aleppo. Also, Rabbi Yaakov Shaul, another rabbi, another Dayan, one of the great rabbis of Izmir from Turkey in of his time. Now, he would actually meet the Chida, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulay, inside Amsterdam in the Netherlands in the year Tavkuf Tet Vav, I believe. And very interesting. Remember, the Chida was one of the great Moroccan rabbis of his time, and very much would the Chida will describe him as in certain, let's say, circumstances in of itself, which is very interesting. And he would much is chronicled, I think, over within regards to their meeting, which I will very much, let's just say, recommend everyone to look into. I think he would actually, it's reported over, I think he would come to Hague in Amsterdam, and he would meet the Chida at a later stage, if I'm not mistaken. Now, he would open his house a lot, Rabbi David would, to various different Shluchei Rabbanan who would come to the land of Israel. Many people would come from Israel to Amsterdam, so he would open his house and bring the people there, host the people there. Remember, the role of a rabbinic emissary was to really strengthen those communities that were going to, and to really give a boost within regards to Torah, but at the same time to do fundraising for their respective locales. Now, it's reported over, he passed away at an old age, but we don't know the exact date when he passed away. So because of that, I think some people will mark the date as Chaf Bet Sivan, the 22nd of Sivan, because that was the day when I believe he finished writing his book, the Divrei David, respectively, which was a very great Torah, colossal work of his. Okay, now we can speak more within regards to him over here. Just another interesting side bit. I think there was, I think in the Pizza community, there was a specific wedding that took place at that point in time. They called this the Bepulmos Shabbat HaChatuna, respectively, which I recommend everyone to look in within regards to that. And there's a whole interesting story about himself, where this I'll leave you to do with some homework, and the various different responses that were written within regards to this specific incident. I think that was, let's say, taking place in Amsterdam, respectively. So that will be a bit of homework for all you guys to do. Now, some of the books among the Torah colossal works that he wrote was the Moed David, was within regards to matters of Amsterdam. This specific book was on matters of astronomy and mathematics. It was printed in Amsterdam in the year 1740. Then there was another Torah work, the Divrei David Shulot, question and answers on subjects within regards to halacha, let's just say, especially within regards to many of the responses of rabbis in his generation, especially, I think, connected to this Shabbat Hatzunah. Let's just say this specific event that took place in the year 1753. Now, another book of his was the Darkei Yisot HaLimud, which was on the Klalei Hashas, the Talmud Bavli, that was printed in Amsterdam in the year 1754. Then another book was the Darkei David. This was in 1793, I think, towards the end of his life, which was on the Torah of it was divided up into 5 volumes. The Michtam LeDavid, which is a biur on the Sefer Tehillim, the book of Psalms. Then there was a Likutei David on the Sefer Leket HaKemach, Kitzur Tzitzit Noval Tzvi, which we spoke about before, very much connected to the famous Rabbi Yaakov Sasportas, one of the great rabbis of the United Kingdom. It was printed as a Shut Shilot Shuvot, or Hal Yaakov, connected to Rabbi Yaakov Sasportas. Sidut Flat Yisharim, which was together with Rabbi Yehuda Apono, and Zivchei David, which is the various different laws, let's say dinim, on Shechita. The Metzudat David, which is a history, let's just say, a historical book, which was spoken about before, or Sitkel David, we'll call that. It was, let's say, in a genealogical style over there. I think he would give over some of his Shuvot, which is printed in a Kovetz, gathered with a Pri-Etz Chaim, respectively. And this was, if I'm not mistaken, that was very much a famous book. Responses of Rabbi David Conforti, a rabbi we spoke about before, chronicler and a bibliographer, and much more is actually related within regards to that. He was a famous rabbi of his time. He passed away, varying the reports whether it was 1810 or the year 1818. They said there's 2 different reports within regards to that. He would study Torah from various other rabbis, including Rabbi Aryeh Leib, who was a rabbi of Ashkenazi community in Amsterdam, I think who he himself had a very strong stronghold within regards to various cities, including Italy, Germany, Poland, and Turkey. And so he was very, very well connected all throughout his time. He was a famous rabbi I recommend everyone to learn more about him. I think it was actually in 1740 he would actually collaborate with Rabbi Yaakov Ashan to publish the book of Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, the Misilat Yesharim, respectively. So that is another interesting thing that we can say within the past. The great Chacham. Now, just a few extra things. A few of his teachings from the books we can actually examine. I think inside the book of the Darkei David, let's just say, he gives a teaching over on the 44th page. Melamed she'al yedei chayot hamitzvot mitdabek ha'adam im chay olamim. Very interesting. This was on the first page of it. Yeah, maybe on the first volume of the Darkei David. This was a teaching over there in Mem Daled. מלמד שיש לו פעינו נותן מפייס בדברי שבתו, לועג לראש ומחרף עשהו. This was in Darkei David, I think in page number 18, Amud Bet, respectively, also. So you see the greatness he came about and the where he actually descended from. In fact, his father, Rabbi David Meldola, was a great rabbi himself. Let's speak about him for just half a minute. He was born between the years 1685 and passed away in 1748. He was a rabbi of the Livorno congregation, also in Pisa and Bian, respectively. And this was a very great family himself. And the family of the Mildola was a mishpat, let's say, family of great rabbis, let's just say. I think their root actually comes from Toledo of the 13th century, respectively. A very, very famous rabbinic family. Hopefully at one stage maybe we'll be able to explore the different rabbis of the family. I think the Rabbi Eliezer Meldola was the chief rabbi also of Livorno, if I'm not mistaken. And it was actually Rabbi Raphael Meldola, the father of Rabbi David Meldola, would actually get married at a young age to his wife, Rabbinit Rachel. I think he was only 16 years of age, if I'm not mistaken, and then he would head the Or Torah Yeshiva in Livorno and would take on various important positions in his life. He was also a compositor. He was also a writer of many different famous books, let's just say, including Sheilot and Shuvot of Piskei Halacha, which was printed in 1737, a book on Mesachet Eruvin, Parshat Ibur, and various different other books also, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I think Rabbi Raphael had 7 children, if I'm not mistaken. So David, Rabbi David, who we're speaking about today, would be one of 7 children, including was Elazar, Abraham, Rivka, also Rina Esther, I think passed away sadly at a young age. Simcha, 1722 she was born. I'm not sure the year she passed away now. Rina Esther is reported over Wikipedia lived between 1715 and 1738. There's no mistake over there. Another one of his sons was Moshe Hezkiyahu, who lived between the years 1725 to 1791. He was, let's say, he was working, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, inside a bank also. Yes, I think what's also interesting to add on that Rabbi Raphael Meldola, his eldest son, so he had the descendant Rabbi Raphael Meldola, who would be the Spanish-Portuguese chief rabbi of London, respectively. So very interesting. He was a famous rabbi of his time. Please learn more about him. Now, friends, we're a community here. We're learning about the great Oriental rabbis of yesteryear. If you descend from any of the rabbis we're speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more. If anyone's interested in watching these videos, please share these videos to other people. We are nearly hitting 7,000 subscribers, which is a phenomenal amount of people. We're growing as a community. We're an online encyclopedia over here. So please share the videos and like, subscribe. I'm looking forward to next time. Wish you all a fantastic day. Thank you very much.